Good evening, viewers. We are back again at the behest of Little Wings Holistic Childhood Center. But this evening is going to be a very special evening because we are going to discuss a lot more of nuances of NEP 2020. It's very important that after a long period, probably in the country like India, the government of India has decided to bring a radical change in the educational policy. And the policy that's undergoing a change was introduced in the year 2020, in the month of July rather. And thereafter, a note was there given by the Ministry of Education, some highlights of new education policy of 2020 rather. It was posted on 14 September 2020 by PIB Delhi. And those specific highlights, basically sensitized the educationists throughout the country. So we are also not untouched that way. And with us, we have got a dynamic educationist today, Mr. Rajendra Malwal, Principal of Bhagwati International Public School. Welcome, Mr. Malwal,
Yeah,
on
thank
this
you very much, sir,
platform.
and good evening. And I'm really honored to be on this platform. So, on behalf of my school, my own behalf, I would like to thank you and the Little Wing for this wonderful opportunity given to me and for this honor, I should say. I'm
Uh,
really blessed, sir. Thank you.
our pleasure, rather. Let me tell you, viewers, that Mr. Malwal has got a penchant and love for nature. And you know that the real education takes place in the lap of nature. This is one of the beautiful attributes of Mr. Malwal that has invited him to address the very first international conference on environment in 2001, right? 20 years back
Yes,
rather.
sir. Yes,
So
sir.
beautiful,
Almost, yeah.
right? And how was the experience, Mr. Malwal, about that? Talking
It
about
was
nature.
really a wonderful initial experience, I should say, sir. And even I really feel nostalgic while talking about those memories right now. And basically, as you said, I love nature, but and it is maybe in my blood itself. Basically, I'm from Uttarakhand, so I was born and brought up
Right.
in hilly regions. And
Right.
being into education and secondly being into these activities gave me an opportunity to be closer to my own hometown, my own motherland.
That's
So
great.
and being into a boarding school, it was a wonderful experience. I should say that being closer to the students and getting involved into certain extra activities, and the eco activities and eco club was one of them. And during those days, luckily this initiative came, and I was selected to represent my school and my state. I should say my own state where I'm living right now. That is
Right. It goes without saying that we have been doing NAP for the last 2 decades,
great, sir.
right? Because
Yes, sir.
we
Not
are
only
we are
we,
dealing
and
with
I feel that
nature. Yeah.
entire education fraternity, and this is most of these things they take their roots in some 20 years back. Even when you were maybe in classroom teaching, you must have seen that certain experiences come from those days. And
Yes.
being into CBSE, being into a bigger organization which plays major role in shaping any government policy, I feel that it plays an important role, and we are lucky enough to have experienced certain things which have led to the formation of new education policy, and we had been practicing certain things, maybe a larger part of recommendations of NEP in our classrooms.
Yeah, I would agree to that because my experiences as a teacher for the last 30 years, 3 decades, have taught me a lot to implement NEP in the right perspective in the
Right.
classrooms rather. And that's likely to be an important aspect of that. But not only this, dear viewers, his participation in the third international conference on educational leadership in 2011, once again, which was organized by IIT Delhi, gives a pleasure to us to know more about it, Mr. Malwal. He is an ardent reader, and not only that, he has got 2 decades of teaching experiences, which encompasses the career counseling, adolescent educations, and whatnot. So NEP, when we talk about, I think this will be coming from the horse's mouth today, the veteran of education probably. Well, finally, I would say that he has been entrusted with a lot more of responsibility by the MHRD, Government of India, and even today he is tied up to attend a meeting of MHRD after half an hour. So it's a very precious time, dear viewers, for all of us to listen to him and to talk about NEP rather. So the very first thing that I would like to talk and initiate with is there that NEP recommendation in regard with the change of the paradigm, the entire charter which has undergone a change from 10 plus 2 plus 3. Now it has come down to 5 plus 3 plus
3
3
plus
plus
3 plus
4.
4.
But then the basic concern of society is 5,
Yeah.
the foundation.
Right, right.
So what do you feel, Mr. Malwal? I mean, how this 5 years of foundation level and the education should cruise? How should it impact? Yes.
Sir, when we talk about impact or the changes NEP has brought, it has affected the entire education system, I should say. But the major part, and especially which attracts the public attention, is the formative years. That is the pre-primary age or the foundation age, it is called. So the school education normally, like if the bigger part on the bigger experiences we collect or we take interest into, I should say, being school educators, I feel that it is the school area, which has been earlier, it was simply 10 plus 2. It was known for 10 plus 2 education, or the school education was known as plus 2 education or K-12 education. So
Yes.
there, especially the 10th and 12th stages plays major role. So where even the schools were stressing more in class 10th results or class 12th results, parent and the society was more interested in knowing the child's performance in 10th and 12th. But NEP, as you said, that it has brought a paradigm shift. It may be by stressing more on foundational year or the pre-primary education, including class 1 and 2. So earlier, if we see, of course, government was, I will not say that government was neglecting that. It may not be taken into right account in right degree, but still, whereas government policies were concerned, government had maybe intention of improving pre-primary education. That is why there were Anganwadi systems, but maybe that because it requires more attention, but government procedures, schemes, and maybe little lethargic attitude, I should say, I feel sorry to use this word, I don't find any better word, but
Yeah.
it could not be implemented. But NEP, I find that maybe government has tried to balance that act, and by this I feel that they will be able to do better and improve especially the early childhood education. And for that reason, these 5 years have been stressed more, and NEP talks in detail about the implementation of school, especially the pre-primary education, monitoring it, bringing improvement in teachers' quality, creating teachers' training programs earlier, which were neglected. Especially, I think some open schools were having certain teachers' training programs for pre-primary age, but whereas formal education and colleges are concerned, we did not have any. But with this NEP, I'm sure that even not only the education system in pre-primary, the child care will improve, but even the education and teachers' quality will improve, as they
Yes.
are launching maybe within very short period of time, within a couple of years, there will be some certification course through authorized government agencies or colleges or maybe universities of higher education. They will launch some certificate course for pre-primary teachers and even maybe degrees and diplomas.
Right, right.
With this,
So,
yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I feel
no,
that if teachers' quality improves, whereas earlier picture was there were private players in pre-primary field. They of
yes.
course had good say, I should say, because they had quality education, and quality was the only thing that made them survive in the society. And especially the big players into education like Little Wing and all, they have contributed a lot. But whereas government part was concerned, it was little missing. But I'm sure that with this initiative, not only private players will improve their quality, will improve the teachers' quality, but also government will improve that, and government schools quality also will improve, and it will be a kind of formal system of education, including that Anganwadi systems.
Correct. So, the
Yes,
prima facie, when we say it has to be ensured that universal access is given
yes,
at all levels of schooling from pre-primary to plus two.
right,
That
sir.
is the government first option rather
And
that
I'm
they
sure
have
that,
shown
sir,
that.
NEP will come as blessings, because
It will
earlier,
be.
of course, they tried to make universal education compulsory for all, but when they have excluded pre-primary children, a larger part of younger generation was left out. So with
Right,
this
right, right.
now, even these +3 children will be included, and I'm sure that it will.
So one part that comes to my mind, and Mr.
Right.
Malwal, and I believe that we must ponder about it and talk about it. Like, we need to ensure the quality of the early childhood care and education. As you said that private players have been contributing a lot in making the things.
Yeah,
Don't you
we
think
really
that?
they deserve a salute, sir. And
Yeah,
private education, pre-primary education is their contribution only.
right. But the question now that comes up is a very, very prevalent question that these private schools, especially the preschools in the society, are running with the courses for 3 years schooling,
Right,
preschooling rather we would
right,
say,
right, right.
which covers up the children up to the age of 6.
Six.
Now, foundation level course has been recommended that we should have a bridge course, and then thereafter the curriculum framework should be based on the same parameters which we have been following for those 3 years.
Yes.
And 1 and 2 should also be there clubbed together to make it a foundation level course of 5 years. Now, the question arises here that preschools, if they start developing their foundation course up to the age of 8 years of children,
Right.
whether it's an assurance that after passing out class 2 from a preschool, children will be given an accessibility to the mainstream schools from class 3 onwards. What is the possibility?
Yeah, the way the policy talks, sir, I'm sure that it will ensure that they settle well, and even it will be the responsibility of pre-primary schools or the preschool chains they are that are running or that are operational in the country, and I'm sure that their intentions are also good, sir. In
Okay.
leaving barring a few, I'm sure that every school tries that their student or their the graduates, those who pass out of the school, they settle in the higher level of schooling. So I don't find, sir, but I'm sure that government is making sure, or government is coming out with certain policies, even if some schools are unable to ensure that their children fit in maybe the upper levels, and they will be. I'm sure that I don't think that there should be any problem.
Okay. Simultaneously, I believe that government is establishing the national mission on the foundational literacy and numeracy.
Yeah, that
Now
is
it's a national mission rather, huh?
yes,
It's a big thing rather, national mission. So when we call about national mission, is it there that it will be a regulating, unit of the government that would be forcefully implemented throughout the country?
sir. Actually, I'm sure that they will do that, but because of this corona or the lockdown period, maybe we are not able to see the bigger picture, the real picture of government scheme. But I'm sure the way government is communicating, the way the policies are visible, or certain activities, even big players like CBSE is coming up with certain initiatives. I'm sure that they will ensure that. And Nipun
Okay.
Bharat, actually, this is a part of this, especially the foundational stage itself up to class third. So
Yeah.
I'm sure, sorry, maybe is including class third also.
Yes.
So I'm sure that they will do something, sir. And as a part of this Nipun Bharat scheme, they have implemented Safal. So with this, they are going to include, initially there will be some pilot schools, maybe 50% of the schools will be included, like
Right.
Kendriya Vidyalayas or JNVs or some government school. But
Right.
initially, there may be, every school may not be included, but every district, every village, or every unit will be included. And
Okay.
as soon as situation normalizes, every student will pass through that phase, or at least every school will pass through that. It may not be for each and every student or each and every learner, but even if majority of the students are included, they will form or change the picture of school education.
So government's scheme to go for a research collaboration like Spark and then going for global initiative for academics network, GYAN. I mean, such beautiful acronyms and coinages have come out, which are
No.
being worked out by, by a lot
Yeah.
many people altogether. So I, as an educationist, I have also been pondering about it. Then how effective would it be, and how many months rather it would take to come in the real picture of its implementation? What is your assumption about it?
Sir, as you said, these words are really very very attractive. Not only policies like Nipun Bharat, Safal, or if you see this NAS, National Survey of School
Yes.
Education, and if you study those documents, maybe I'm sure that good schools, especially not only good schools, does not mean that government school only, even sorry, private schools only. Good schools like government schools also, like KV and JNV, have big say in producing good results. So
Right.
they will be implementing right now because students are not with us in the school. So maybe, but the situation is improving. If not during this session, government, these activities are very short duration targeted, sir. They are not targeting some 20 years or 30 years of period. So there is a target of 2 years, 3 years, or maximum 4 years. So with this short duration programs, I'm sure that government is, I should say, that hell bound to ensure that there is some improvement in school education. And I'm sure that they will do that, because they are going to label the institution, label the districts, or label the states based on these assessments. So everybody, not only the educational institutions, but everyone involved into the field of education will work for that.
That's wonderful. Well, I mean,
Yes, sir.
dear viewers, there is a very clear vision. First of all, there shouldn't be any confusion in the minds of the parents. The children who are at the preschool as of now, they may continue for another 2 years with their schools concerned to get into a foundation system or foundation level system of the NEP recommendations. Thereafter, there will always be an accessibility of the children going to the mainstream education from third onwards, as we have already discussed that Nipun Bharat is coming up and a lot more of implementation is there.
Yeah.
Setting up of a new national assessment center, this is PARAK, that is coming up, is a performance assessment, which is a kind of review and the analysis of knowledge for holistic development. Well, when we are emphasizing upon holistic development, don't we think that whatever education has been done as of now, Mr. Malwal,
Yes, sir.
they are likely to be reviewed on the parameters of holistic development?
So the purpose, even see, this holistic development is a very old word.
Mm.
It is not something new. Every school talks about holistic development, but maybe there were certain lacunae which could not ensure that it should happen. But with due planning, with due stress, it will surely improve. It will
Right,
it will surely ensure, I should say.
right.
So with this, the way this policy is moving around, like right now, earlier this class, sorry, pre-primary section, 3rd to 6th year children were not taken into account, but now government is ensuring that these children also are taken into consideration. And then, right, not only up to club, earlier it was right from 6 to 14 years of age, but now they have gone for 3 to 18 years. So everywhere, everything has been included. When child passes out of the school, there will be certain parameters which he will ensure that he has achieved.
Okay. So it goes again without saying that when the child passes out at the age of 18, the plus two education
Plus
rather,
two education.
so when he stands on the four square road, he or she is capable of taking major decisions. That's
Yes,
very
yes, sir. Correct.
important. So that kind of educational policy is there always beneficial for the current scenario, wherein the 21st century skills also would be included, wherein the parameters of holistic education, the implementation of all kinds of principles that are required for making a child holistically groomed would be taken care of. And this is what basically at all the preschools and all those private players have been doing. We at Little Wings also are doing the same rather, because we are ensuring that every child joining Little Wings up to the age of 8 years should be safely groomed properly, nurtured amidst nature, and should grow with a lot more of attributes and qualities that can help them to carve a niche for themselves in the latter phase of life. So I think what do you feel you should pass on a message to the parents at this moment when they are in a confusion whether children should be taken out from preschool and are sent for a mainstream education, or any preschool when it is starting up with the foundation level should be there given an acknowledgement that yes, our children would be staying there for those another 2 years also. What would you think
No,
you should?
I think that this is really a wrong notion. If parents feel like that, or even I find that sometimes even schools may be worried, but there is no need. Policy has been announced, but it does not say that mainstreaming does not mean that pre-primary schools will not exist. And pre-primary schools have been playing a great role in education field, and they will keep playing. They are more experienced than the mainstream education. Even if this pre-primary schooling attached with the main school, they will not be that experienced. Old players will have their own say, sir.
Right,
So I
right,
feel
right.
that they should continue, and they will always be smarter than the mainstream education, and they will be a part of mainstream education, I should say, sir.
Rather, the structure itself suggests that 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 is a new curricular and pedagogical structure. So, when the curriculum framework has to come to play a role, and we need to depend basically upon NCERT or other agencies which
Government
are working
body.
upon the government body, their MHRD and others. So they have already come out with their curriculum of the ECCE
Yeah.
and others, right? So implementation of those things, do you think is necessary?
They,
Or
of course, sir, I cannot go against the government policy. It has been
yeah,
come out after great consideration by great educationists. But I feel that this has already been considered by the schools or the pre-primary schools, because even the schools which are the organization they are into primary education or pre-primary education, they must have already considered that. But with the change of time, if certain things are left out, I advise even the pre-primary schools or the organization they are running into pre-primary initiative, they should look into that and see that if with the change of time, if certain things are required to change. So there's no harm in learning from the government policies, and they are all well thought policies. If this new policy has come after so many years, of course there is some deep thinking has gone into.
right. So I think in this episode we have confined ourselves to the 5 years of foundation course, and we have discussed at good length about the nuances of the schooling at the three
Foundation.
plus three plus age rather, and reaching out to 8 years for 5 years of complete schooling. That would be always a foundation for any child to grow up further in the primary education, or we call it preparatory education, thereafter the middle education, and finally the course of action will be taken
Secondary.
for secondary rather. One question that I would like to basically throw today, and will allow even the parents and the viewers to brood about, is there that all such preparations that the children are undergoing right from the age of 3 plus would be allowing in due course of time to have an option in class 9 itself what kind of subject a child should select or choose without any compartmentalization,
Yes.
and what kind of career he or she should proceed with. Do you think that that's going to be possible, and there wouldn't be any pressure on the children in this regard in the due course of time?
Sir, as this again, sir, as we come, and even as I'm aware about your background, that you also come from CBSE background, and this system actually separation of esteem never existed in CBSE. Of course, there were some institutional limitations where subject choice was not offered to the individual student. So it was already there. It was already there, especially at plus two level. Normally, the government schools or especially the state board schools, they after class 10th education is considered stream wise, like commerce and arts, humanities or science, but it was never in CBSE. So but institutional choices were there, because it may not be possible to give varieties of subject as per the student choice. So it was not there, but with this declaration through NEP, I'm sure that it will give students better exposure, and as it permits children to study the subject of their choice, anything of our choice we do better, sir. So I'm sure that if students are offered their choices, if they are unable to take decision right now, there are choices again in future education also. They may take decision, some decision in class 9, but if they find that it has not been up to their taste, so after they pass class 10, they can again change some other group. But with this responsibility, I'm sure that they will become better decision takers. And not only children, but once we say that children will have freedom, but it does not mean that they will go without parental guidance. Parent will, of course, learned parent, educated parent will help children to take right decision. So I feel that there's no harm, and it will surely proof advantageous not only for a student but even for the country itself, sir. Because if a child does better in studies, he will surely end up in better career than better citizen, sir.
So the focused studies and the choice of the career, if given to the
Is
children,
a welcome,
probably there would be a
I should say,
healthy
welcome for
society
them.
would be rather, improved.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So dear viewers, dear parents, it's very clear now that the foundation of the children has to be laid properly as such that the child becomes capable of taking a decision of his or her career in due course of time. This 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 definitely is a stepping stone towards getting a holistic education through NEP recommendations. And we all should welcome it wholeheartedly in the country to implement it right from the basics learning of the children and again helping them out to become an individual of the choice, the individual of the career, the individual of contributing to the society. And that's all for today. I am really thankful to Mr. Malwal to spare his
I'm
time.
thankful to you.
I'm sure that now after this time he has got a very tight situations to discuss many more things with the MHRD of India, the Government of India. Please go ahead. Thank you
Yes,
so
thank
much.
you
The
very much.
next Saturday we shall come up with some other episodes with some beautiful discussions on this panel. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mr. Malwal, and
thank
thank
you
you
very much,
viewers
sir.
for watching us.